Sheldon Creed does the impossible. Tyler Reddick starts 2 for 2 on the season, and EchoPark Speedway produces another spectacular race. All that and more coming up on the Lap by Lap show. How's it going, everybody? My name is Austin McConnell. Welcome back to the Lap by Lap show. Be sure to follow on YouTube, TikTok, and Spotify so you never miss a post or an episode such as this one. Also, be sure to follow me on X at amcconnell0423. That is AMCCONNELL0423, so we can talk NASCAR 24/7, 365. We've got a lot to get into here today. EchoPark with another great weekend of events. Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup were all in action once more this weekend, and they will be again for the third weekend of the NASCAR season, but that will come at a different time, probably Thursday or Friday of this week. I will have a Circuit of the Americas and the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg race preview coming out later this week. But we've got a lot to talk about here from Hampton, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, EchoPark Speedway, whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. We'll start with the trucks. Kyle Busch wins another truck race, extends his streak in the truck series, makes that the 22nd year he has won in at least one of the NASCAR's top 3 series. He had a little help from his Spire teammate for the day, Carson Hocevar, and we'll get to him later about the Cup Series. We've got a lot to talk about the number 77 Chevrolet in the Cup Series, but the number 77 truck in the Craftsman Truck Series on Saturday helped push Kyle Busch to the win. Hocevar came over as Kyle Busch was doing his burnout on the front straightaway, gave him some daps, got a picture, and he said, quote, "It should be good marketing for Spire." After the race, in his post-race interview, he thought it was a good idea to get some business marketing and some good pictures and some good production and promotion and all that for Team Spire. So I'm sure Spire Motorsports was happy to see that. Now, we got to talk about the 420 time limit. So on Saturday morning, if you guys don't know about this, it was raining a lot. It was like shin deep Saturday morning at the Speedway. Took them a while to get going. They didn't start right at 1:30 like their scheduled time. They started probably around 2:30, which gave them about 2 hours until the CW was going to start picking up their broadcast, and Fox obviously was carrying the truck race. So difference in broadcasting windows and contracts, all that good stuff. All that fun stuff, I should say. So the 420 time limit was basically the Xfinity series, or excuse me, the O'Reilly series started at 5, and the CW was going on at like 4:30, 4:45 or something like that. They were coming on the air at that time, and they had to make sure they got all the O'Reilly cars out to the pit road and get the race started on time instead of pushing it back until, Sunday morning or Monday, whenever they would have had to race it around the Cup Series schedule. So the trucks, with about 20 laps to go, are coming up on 420, and that is the cutoff. As soon as 420 hits on the clock, they're going to throw the 2 laps to go, then the white flag, and that's going to end the race. A lot of people were quite upset about that, and I don't necessarily see why, because I thought it was fine. I thought we would have gotten the same finish if we ran those last 17 to 20 laps in full anyways. Denny Hamlin said it on his Actions Detrimental podcast that his concern was as soon as the time hit 420 on his phone, they ran 2 or 3 more laps and then threw the 2 to go. So I can see why people would be confused or concerned about that. But the time limit itself, I don't think anyone should be quite upset about. I think I would applaud. I do applaud NASCAR for getting both the Truck Series race and the O'Reilly Series race in on Saturday, like scheduled, so they didn't have to drag them back Sunday morning and race at like 9 o'clock or, Monday afternoon when nobody's there, everyone's at work. So I think that was a great idea by NASCAR, great decision. I think the 420 time limit did not affect the end of the race at all. I think NASCAR gave a couple extra laps after the 420 cutoff just so that we could, drivers could get the information from their team being like, hey, it's the last couple laps, let's go. And either way, I think we would have seen Carson Hocevar pushing Kyle Busch to the win, and that's exactly what happened at 420. So applaud NASCAR for the decision. Back to Kyle Busch. 68 wins for Kyle Busch in the Truck Series, extends his all-time record for the most wins in that series across all 3 national series. Kyle Busch now has 233 wins, so pretty solid resume if I do say so myself. He gets the win. Hocevar comes home second, and Ruggiero third. Good run for Gio Ruggiero. All right, let's move on to the O'Reilly Series. Sheldon Creed has finally found victory lane for the first time in his career. He said post-race that it's not how he expected to win it, but in my eyes, a win is a win. So congrats to Sheldon Creed. He had the record for the most second-place finishes without a win, which was at 15. He finished second place 15 times before getting his first career win. Olympics just wrapped up on Sunday. Imagine going to Milan, right? You're training your whole life. This is what you want to do. You're at the top level of your game, and you compete 15 times, and you get silver every single time without winning gold. Finally, Sheldon Creed gets that gold medal, gets that trophy, and can put it in his trophy case. I'm sure he's going to put that right by the front door at his house. I don't blame him. I would do the same thing. Also want to give a quick shout out to Team USA for wrapping up the Olympics Sunday morning, obviously, before the NASCAR race at 3 o'clock at 8:10. Team USA men's hockey defeats Canada for the gold medal in hockey in a 2-1 overtime. Jack Hughes with the game winner. Very patriotic day and very patriotic weekend. If I do say so myself. Team USA women's hockey also beat Canada in the gold medal. Team USA hockey, I think, outscored the entire tournament 33-2. I mean, that is ridiculous. So congrats to all the Team USA athletes who took home some hardware. Congrats to all the Team USA athletes who were just repping our country out in Italy. That's, I mean, an amazing achievement. Just in general, you don't see me anywhere near the Olympics. I don't feel anywhere near an Olympic level athlete. So congrats to them. Congrats to Team USA. It was a big day, big win. And it was a fun couple of weeks. Fun couple of weeks watching the Winter Olympics. But back to NASCAR. Sheldon Creed finally wins that gold medal in the O'Reilly Series. Obviously, you want to win at the Cup Series. That's everybody's dream. But to get to the Cup Series, you got to win a couple down in the lower series. So he finally gets that done. My pick was Austin Hill for the weekend. Oh, yeah, going back to the trucks. Kyle Busch was my pick. Got that correct. I was about to go 2 for 2 on Saturday until on the last lap, Austin Hill and Ross Chastain make contact. Austin Hill spins out, ends up coming home 12th. And Chastain brings Jordan Anderson Racing home with a 6th place finish. Let's talk about that real quick. Austin Hill is leading the pack. Looks like he's going to race his way to another Speedway win. Chastain has the run. And he looks to the inside. Hill looks to throw a block, an aggressive block, but it's the last lap going into turn 3. I think you have to make that block. You can't blame Austin Hill at all. Hill ends up spinning out. Chastain loses all momentum. Sheldon Creed, right place, right time, puts himself in the right position. Comes back to the line first to win it. Going back to Hill and Chastain's contact, I think it's just a racing incident. I don't think it's anybody's fault, in my opinion. If you're Chastain, you have to take that run. If you're Austin Hill, you have to make that block. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out for either of them. They both come home with respectable finishes. Chastain 6th, Hill 12th. But going for the win, you don't want to come home 6th or 12th. So I'm not putting the fault on any of them. I think that's a racing incident. And that's pretty much all I need to say about that. I think the CW booth covered it very well. Also, shout out to Adam Alexander, Parker Kligerman, and Jamie McMurray. Electric booth, one of the best booths we have in NASCAR across all series right now. Very electric call. And like I said, Creed, most second place finishes without a win at 15. That is now erased. Sheldon Creed has a win. Corey Day, I want to talk about Corey Day real quick. Young guy, still hasn't really hit his potential yet. He comes home 4th after making a mistake in Stage 3. I mean, he was a little squirrely on the track, ends up causing a decent-sized wreck. Regroups, comes back, top 5 finish. Good for him. Probably was going to finish outside the top 5 if Chastain and Hill would have kept it clean and stayed on the track. But Corey Day comes home fourth. Solid finish. Good mental day for Corey Day. You know, he realizes his mistake. He's going to go back and watch tape. He's going to go figure it out. And then he's going to come back and he's going to be like, yeah, but we rebounded from that. We caused a wreck, got caught up in it ourselves, had a tire go down, came back and finished fifth all within the last stage. So good job, Corey Day. And that's all I've got for the O'Reilly series. Congrats to Sheldon Creed. He finally gets his first career victory. All right, now we head to the Cup Series. Tyler Reddick goes back-to-back and wins the Daytona 500 last week, wins the Auto Trader 400 at EchoPark Motor Speedway this week. He's the first driver to win the first two races of the season since Matt Kenseth back in 2009, where he won the Daytona 500 and then the Auto Club 500. I think before Kenseth, it was 1997 that Jeff Gordon won the first two races. So very rare to go win the Daytona 500 and then go out and win it the next week. Reddick suffered damage with like 30 laps to go, gets his right front fender ripped off, fights his way to the front, cautions help him out a little bit, and he gets the win. I think that's even more impressive. So congrats to Tyler Reddick, 23-11, off to a hot start. Top two in the standings right now is Tyler Reddick, and then 40 points behind Reddick in second is his teammate, Bubba Wallace. So 23-11, off to a great start. Bubba Wallace, once again, racking up stage points. He won a stage down in Daytona last week, finished second in a stage yesterday. Might have, if I'm not mistaken, he racked up one of, if not the most points, stage points on the day. So 23-11, off to a really, really hot start here in 2026. Well, we do go to a road course next week. So Bubba Wallace, not the strongest on road courses, but again, we'll talk about that later this week in my Circuit of the Americas preview. Chastain was just talking about him in the O'Reilly series. Had a good run there when Austin Hill throws the block on him. He has another great run on the last lap here on Sunday. Looks like he was going to make a run for it. He had fresh tires. I'm shocked he didn't really kind of blow around people and get to the front as fast as he did. I thought he was going to get there faster, I should say, with those fresher tires. But comes home third after coming down the backstretch in third. Looks to the inside of Briscoe. Briscoe throws a block on him. This time they don't wreck. Briscoe blocks for his Toyota teammate in Tyler Reddick. Reddick wins the race. Briscoe comes home second. Chastain comes home third. Hocevar finishes fourth. He took out Christopher Bell in the overtime restart. Tried to force a hole that wasn't really there. And I think there was not a lot of happy campers wearing number 20 shirts and hats in the grandstands there. It was an aggressive move for sure. I love Hocevar's style of racing. I love the aggression. I love the win-first mentality. He's amazing. Eric Estep talked about it on his recap show this week. He said Hocevar's the most exciting thing on four wheels right now or something like that. And I have to agree with him. It's fun to watch Hocevar run up front because you never know what he's going to do. Good or bad. But he's at least going for the win either way. He tried to go down. Let's talk about Hocevar's day first. Hocevar had a tire go down in stage one early in the race. Then he goes a lap down trying to get the new tire on, comes back out, tries to stay on the lead lap, is racing the front of the field to stay on the lead lap. Looks like he's winning the race, but he's really just in last. A passenger side window flies out of his car while trying to stay on that lead lap. He goes 2 laps down, fights back all the way back to finish in the top 5. So whether you agree with the decision to shoot that gap that may or may not have been there, Hocevar, you got to hand it to him. He had a great day. Let's talk about that that gap that may or may not have been there. Christopher Bell is not a confrontational driver. He was not going to come up to Carson Hocevar after the race on pit road and start throwing haymakers. You know, when I first saw the replay, I was like, "That's 2014 Texas, right?" It looked very similar to the 2014 Texas playoff race where Keselowski tries to shoot the gap. It's really, really tight. Causes Jeff Gordon the wreck. Gordon, Keselowski start brawling on pit road. Had a little help from Kevin Harvick there. If you go back and watch that fight on like YouTube or something, Keselowski's trying to get away from Gordon. Harvick shoves Keselowski back into Gordon, and they start fighting. It's really funny, actually. Kevin Harvick just wants to see the world burn. But Christopher Bell's not that kind of guy. He's not going to go over and he's not going to, push around Hocevar and call him an idiot, say that was a stupid move. His team was mad on the radio. Bell obviously probably frustrated. He had a front row restart in overtime on a 2-lap shootout. I would be very upset, but Carson Hocevar is like twice my height, so I also would not really go over there and push him around because he could probably just kick me and I'd fall backwards. But it was a tight gap. It was tough for Hocevar to make that decision. It was a tight move. He tries to really force his way in there. I don't hate the move. I think I would have just waited. I would have been a little smarter, a little more patient, get a run down the backstretch, or get a run on the last lap. You're going to have a better chance at winning if you do that. Instead, he takes out Bell. We get another restart, and Hocevar ends up coming home fourth. So, make of that what you will. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. I liked the aggressiveness. It probably was not the right move. Actually, it definitely was not the right move. It was just, I like the aggressiveness. Got to be a little more patient than that. That's how I'll wrap it up. His teammate, Daniel Suarez, first year at Spire Motorsports in the number 7 Chevrolet. Very good at EchoPark Speedway since the reconfiguration. Had that 3-wide finish in 2024. That win in 2024, I should say. Has a ton of top 10s here. This was no fluke. Top 5 for Daniel Suarez, right behind his Spire teammate. Very solid for Daniel Suarez. Wanted to give him a shout out. And then Shane Van Gisbergen. Best oval finish in the NASCAR Cup Series. Obviously, the best road course racer out there, right? And we head to a road course race later this week. Again, we'll talk about that later in the week. But he's getting better on those ovals. I've been telling you. I told you before Daytona. I told you after Daytona. I told you in the EchoPark race preview episode. I told you watch out for Shane Van Gisbergen. He is getting better on these ovals, especially at these drafting tracks. He comes home 6th, his best finish on an oval, and he spun out like 2 separate times. He spun out in stage 3 when Denny Hamlin, Logano, all of them got sideways. He was sliding through the infield at one point, ends up coming home 6th. What a day for SVG, and he's just getting started here, folks. He's going to be fun to watch on these ovals if he keeps improving. Zane Smith, he was the highest finishing Ford in 7th. He sits 5th in points right now. Zane Smith is 5th in points. Good for him. Little disappointed in the Fords. This is the second week that I was high on the Fords, high on Team Penske, and they just have not shown up. My predictions this week were Kyle Busch, got that right. Austin Hill, looked like I was going to get that right until the final lap. And then Logano. Logano finished 18th, man. I know he wrecked, but he wasn't in the best position in the first place. He was already out of contention. He was up there at the beginning of the race, battling with Reddick for the first half of the stage, I'd say. Swapping positions left and right. That was exciting to watch. But then he kind of just disappeared. Once he got back in the pack, it looked like his car wasn't handling too well. He was never really up front again after that. So Blaney comes home 10th. Logano comes home 18th. Those are the two Penske guys I was looking for. Those were the top 2 in odds. Not that great of a day. Not that great of a start to the season for Team Penske. Looking for them to pick it up. Very solid at Daytona. Usually very solid in this spring EchoPark race. They just haven't been on the map at all yet these first 2 weeks. So we'll have to see when they kick it back into gear. But Logano, 18th. Blaney, 10th. And Zane Smith sits 5th in points. Congrats to him. That's a big day. 57 lead changes. That is the most in a NASCAR Cup Series race, I believe. I think that even triumphs 2024 spring Bristol when we had the tire conundrum issue, disaster class, whatever you want to call it. I think that triumphs any other speedway race. And, NASCAR likes to kind of really bump up these numbers sometimes. They include the pit road lead change. They include a caution lap, lead change, whatever. This felt natural. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the first 15 laps of the race. I think Reddick and Logano changed the lead like 12 times in the first 15 laps. It was unreal. I mean, from the drop of the green flag, it was phenomenal racing. So 57, I believe, and you can fact check me on this, is the most in a NASCAR Cup Series race in history, I think. And if it is, I'm not shocked. There were so many different leaders throughout the day. It was amazing to watch. And once again, EchoPark Motor Speedway puts on another phenomenal weekend. All right, we're going to end this show with my 3 flags of the week. This is a new thing I'm doing. I do it on Phantom Sports, this upstart sports media website that I write for. I do a green flag, a yellow flag, and a red flag for the week. My green flag is something that I loved watching, I thought was great for the sport. My yellow flag is something I'm in between on, and my red flag is something I am not too fond of. So we'll start with the green flag. I think y'all see this coming from the intro. EchoPark Motor Speedway. Unbelievable racing. It's my favorite track on the schedule right now. It is my favorite track on the circuit. It is what Daytona and Talladega are supposed to be. That's what the racing we see at EchoPark is what fans aspire Daytona and Talladega to race like. Obviously, we've got that drag issue we talked about last episode after the Daytona race. Atlanta doesn't have that issue. There's more room for drivers to work around, make moves, get runs, and it is awesome. Across all 3 series, Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup, they all race so well, and it's so exciting to watch. So, green flag, EchoPark Motor Speedway. Yellow flag, yeah, we're going back to Hocevar's decision there in overtime. Was it the right move to make the shot? To try and shoot the gap, I mean. Yes and no. I'm leaning towards no, but I like the aggressiveness. I know I already said this, but I like Hocevar's aggression. He's got a little early Ross Chastain in him. When Ross Chastain first went to Trackhouse, he raced like this. He made those moves. He was super aggressive, and people didn't like it. He ruffled some feathers, and then he kind of backed off. I think a lot of people got in his ear, and he started backing off. I'd love for Ross Chastain to go back to aggressive racing like he used to. Hocevar's racing like that right now. I hope he doesn't stop racing like that. Because if we get Hocevar and Chastain racing super aggressive and they're very similar, who knows? Maybe it could be a in-house Chevrolet rivalry. Or they can team up against the field and ruffle everybody's feathers and just become the next villains of the next generation. I like the aggressiveness. Just got to be more patient. That's my yellow flag. My red flag, just talked about it, Team Penske. What are they doing? They are so slow right now. Not even slow. They're just invisible. I was at this race. I was sitting right at the end of pit road, headed down into turn 1. I had a great view of every car that passed by. Not once, other than the first half of the first stage, did I see Logano or Blaney up there at all. Josh Berry was running better than them until he got wrecked and involved in that wreck with Ty Gibbs. We don't really have to dive too deep into that. But Team Penske just not showing up right now. And they're supposed to be good at super speedway drafting style races. Did not show up these first 2 weeks. Very interesting. Something to watch out for. We head to Circuit of the Americas next week. I don't like Logano or Blaney on a road course, nor Josh Berry, nor Austin Cindric, really. So, might be 3 straight weeks of Team Penske being quiet, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe this is the week I fade them and they go out and finish top 5. So we'll see. But that's going to do it for the EchoPark Motor Speedway recap and analysis of the weekend. Make sure you guys follow YouTube on YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok so you never miss an episode like this one. Once again, follow my X account, amcconnell0423. And later this week, probably Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday, depending on my schedule, I will be uploading a Circuit of the Americas race preview. I would like to get it up Friday because there are races on Saturday. Obviously, Saturday and Sunday is the weekend. But we'll take a look at it later this week. I want to thank you guys again for listening to the Lap by Lap show. Episode 5 in the books. And we will be back in a couple days to take a look at our first road course on the schedule for 2026. Once again, my name was Austin McConnell. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all in a few days.